We are here again at the annual Roots Rendezvous up in northern New England at the Roots School, and wanted to show you guys my total glamping setup here. I'm in the back of the pickup truck with no tailgate and a mosquito net, and it's just as glamorous as it looks, everybody. Got a piece of cardboard in the bed of the truck, and then a mattress pad here, an old sleeping bag that was dumped over a fence when I was living in Rhode Island, my sleeping bag from the 1980s. EMS stuff lasts, people, or at least it used to, and a wool blanket. And yeah, as you can see, this is very lavish and luxurious camping setup. Got my LO Bean packable pillow up there, and yeah, just living in the lap of luxury here, really. Totally glamping. And we got a DD hammock tarp. So, totally living in the lap of luxury out here for the next night, two nights, 3 days. I have the mosquito net and tarp on a nice paracord line going up to a tree here, and the other side is tied to my oh shit handle on the passenger side of the truck, because that was the only place to tie it off to. And yeah, everybody's having fun here and jumping in the river over here and having a good time learning primitive skills.
Synthetic is going to print differently or not at all. Yeah, okay. So I'll just chop these up. So there are all different ways to do eco-printing. Some are with steaming, some are with, soaking, some are with pressing, and what we're going to be doing today is pounding. So we're going to collect leaves and plant material, and then we're going to physically pound it onto the fabric that we want to transfer the leaf pattern onto. So this can be, a beautiful enterprise. You can arrange things really artfully. You can do this as a camouflage method if you're looking to blend into your environment. And what we're going to be using today can be over-dyed. So anything you make today, you could then dip into a vat of dye after the fact. You'll experience some color change, which is what you want, but anyway, it's not this is the first step in what could be a continuing process. So these are some samples. My name again is Betsy. This is Athena, who may or may not be assisting. We made up a bunch of samples just to show you what? Yeah, some different outcomes. And we'll also, we'll get into the process, a little bit of the chemistry and stuff too, but ask Brad right there. Go. So feel free to mill around and look at things.
So would you recommend doing the prints before dyeing if you are going to be dyeing?
Doesn't really, it depends on the outcome you're looking for. So we can talk about that. If you're looking, I don't know how to structure this. I guess I'll tell you, I can tell you some different possibilities, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do today. And then you can do what you please when you do it on your own. But if you use a dry fabric, like an untreated dry piece of fabric, and I would recommend a plant-based textile, so like cotton, linen, something like this. You can definitely eco-print on animal fibers, you can eco-print on leather, you can eco-print on wool, but the method that we're going to be doing today is really best suited for cotton, flax, that sort of a thing. Anyway, if you do it when the fabric is dry, you'll get a really crisp result. So this, for example, and this guy right here, and this one, these are all, we took dry fabric, and then we put the plants on it, pounded it, and then continued with our processing. If you're looking for something that's a little more smudgy or maybe camo-y, you know, depending on what you're looking to do, you can wet your fabric with water and then pound onto that. You can also, basically experiment. The other thing you'll notice, like the shirt that Athena is wearing, this is a shirt that's like just a continual eco-printing process for her. So it's got the ghosts of past eco-printing using various methods, and then newer things on top.
So it's not super light fast?
Well, what she had on there before wasn't. What she put on this time is and will be. But yeah, that's a good point. So how do we make it light fast, or as light fast as we can make it? And light fast means that so it won't fade. Like, what are we going to do for that? So we're going to use a mordant, and a mordant is just, you know, in this case, a mineral salt that's going to actually rough up the fabric a little bit and make it more receptive to the dye. It's also, because of the type of mordant we're going to be using, going to interact with the tannins in the leaves to cause the dye in the leaves to express in a particular and more robust way. So a mordant that, you know, those familiar with dyeing and using natural, you know, using plant-based dyes may know some of this already, but like a really common mordant would be alum, which is a type of aluminum sulfate. We're going to be using a very easy, very inexpensive mordant, which is just rust dissolved in vinegar and water. And so this, you just throw a bunch of rusty stuff in a bucket with vinegar and water and leave it alone. And we're gonna add some water to this. This has been stewing for a while. But yeah, feel free to look at it. Yeah, it is.
And you get alum acetate.
Yeah. So here you can maybe see on the lid a little bit of this much.
So did you do like equal parts water and vinegar, or what do you? Or just
No, I slosh it. If this were a tincture, it would be a folk method. But really, it's like, I think probably like 1 part vinegar to 3 parts water.
Okay.
Let's say.
So pretty diluted.
Pretty diluted. This is going to be a little extra concentrated because I want everyone to get a super exciting result. You know what I mean? And we'll also throw more water in this. I didn't really want this to like all spill in the car. So, but anyway. The mordant is going to make the fabric more receptive to the dye, and it's also going to interact with the tannins in the leaves, which will influence the outcome of what the leaf looks like when it's been printed onto the fabric. So, do you want to grab one? Cool. So, part of eco-printing that I think is really fun when you're getting started is that you really don't know necessarily what the result is going to be. So that's part of the excitement. You'll pound a bunch of things on the fabric. Everything will leave a mark. It will seem really cool and exciting. You will fall in love with all of the flowers. And then you'll dip it, and the flowers will go away. And some of the leaves, some of the flowers will go away, some won't. Some of the leaves will become really, really dark and pronounced. Others will become much more faded. Some things will have really crisp outlines, some things will be really bloopy. And so that's part of the excitement of it. So what I can tell you, because we're going to go and harvest a bunch of leaves from the landscape to use for our pounding, but just a light cheat, although I do think that everyone should just have fun and experiment in your time and see what happens. But I can tell you that plants with higher concentrations of tannins are going to be significantly darker, and this type of mordant will turn them black. So these are sumac leaves. and there's sumac growing plentifully along the driveway. So we can harvest sumac along the driveway. If you're allergic to sumac, then don't. But anyway, so the sumac is going to come out black. When you pound the leaf, you'll see that it's not going to look that way. It's going to look green. You're going to see the leaf material on your fabric, green schmutz. But then this is what will happen. Here we have some maple leaves. Do we put what? We didn't put oak on this one. Here you can see not as dark, but still showing some color is yarrow.
Do ferns have tannins?
Yeah, so you can see a fern right here. And yeah, this is one that we wet with water first, so it's not as dark because the fabric was already wet. But you can see ferns here as well, and these are oak leaves. So oak leaves, ferns. This is sumac and fern and fern.
Did you purposely get the sort of lighter ghosty fern and then the medium? How did you?
This is just what happens. And then the other thing that you can do, like for something like this, where you have like some symmetry going on, what we would do is lay the leaves down, fold the fabric over, pound, and then see what happens. But you'll note that we did this over here, and so on one side, the leaf came through really, really strongly, and on the other, not so much. So for this, you can see ghosts of everybody on the back, because this shirt is silk. Silk takes this type of dyeing really, really well, but I couldn't find silk bed sheets at the thrift store for $2, so we're not doing that. But at home, you should, and it will be great. Yeah, so like if you want something that's going to be really clear and crisp, maybe don't do the fold over, but the fold over is a really great way to get some easy symmetry. And if you're willing, and or interested to see how the leaves express differently, it's a cool effect. Here we've got more yarrow. This is some celandine, which has a nice, nice definition and also a different color. And I think this is celandine too, right? Yeah. This is some more celandine. And so also you can do flowers, but be warned, the flowers with this particular method, there are other ways to eco-print flowers where they keep the color. This is not that way. They're just going to express singly probably. So this is yarrow flower. Leaves, you don't want to use leaves that are too dry because they're not going to have enough to release into the fabric, but be warned that if your leaf is extremely juicy and or if you're using a flower like, do you remember, was this calendula or what was this? Do you remember? Okay, this is a flower of mysterious origin.
It looks a little bit like coreopsis, maybe.
Maybe it's coreopsis. But it's like super juicy. So when we pounded it, it just sort of made a, yeah, which is its own cool thing. But just be warned, like the juicier the plant material, the less definition you may get around the edges. And then once we collect stuff and get ready to print, we can give you some tips on how to get, different types of definition, like which way to lay the leaf if you really want to see the veins or something like that. But I also think that a big part of eco-printing is just experimenting and seeing how it goes and not being married to
How long should we stir for?
not long. I gotta take it out.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
That is,
That's amazing.
that came out pretty nice.
That came out beautifully.